Okay, so NIO's December delivery numbers came out, and wow, they were huge. But the real story isn't just the number they hit, it's how they hit it. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at what their sales reps are actually seeing on the ground, and trust me, it is not what you'd expect.
Yeah, we're going way beyond the press release here to really get a handle on the true market dynamics. We're talking surprising customer behavior and one single car model that is completely rewriting the rules for the entire company.
So, first things first, let's talk about those headline numbers, because by any measure, they were absolutely massive.
Just look at that. Over 48,000 vehicles delivered in December alone. That is just a massive surge in demand right at the end of the year.
But it's the sheer scale of the growth that's really staggering. I mean, a 54% jump compared to the same time last year, and a 32% leap from just the month before. This isn't just steady growth, folks. This is a sudden, massive acceleration.
And this wasn't just a one-month wonder either. The entire fourth quarter was a record breaker for NIO. So on the surface, everything looks absolutely perfect. But when you start to look a little closer, a crack starts to appear.
See, that huge number is actually made up of three totally distinct brands. You've got the premium NIO line, the family-focused Envo, and the more budget-friendly Firefly. And when you break them down, a much more complicated and frankly more interesting picture starts to emerge. So the main NIO brand? Clearly, it accounted for the lion's share of sales. And Firefly? It posted some really solid, steady numbers. But look at Envo. Its slice of the pie tells a very, very different story.
Right. So while the NIO brand and Firefly were seeing strong growth, Envo's deliveries actually dropped. They went down by nearly 2,000 cars compared to November. At a time when the company was smashing records, one of its key brands actually went backward.
So why? Why would one brand stumble while the others were sprinting ahead? Well, the answer has less to do with the cars themselves and everything to do with a major shift in the market.
And that shift? It all comes down to government subsidies. This one single factor had a massive ripple effect across the whole market. But here's the thing, it didn't impact all buyers in the same way.
You see, at the end of 2025, the government temporarily pulled some key financial subsidies for EV purchases. And that meant pretty much overnight, the final price for a new electric vehicle changed a lot.
And this quote from a NIO sales rep just gets right to the heart of it. The buyers who felt this the most were the ones who are more budget conscious, especially in the family car segment. And who does that sound like? Exactly the customers the Envo brand is built for.
So what happened was, Envo saw this wave of order cancellations from these really price-sensitive buyers. Meanwhile, people buying the premium NIO ES8, they were far less concerned. For them, that subsidy just wasn't a deal breaker. But that is only half the story.
Because at the exact same time Envo was struggling, one specific model in the main NIO lineup wasn't just doing well, it was having a moment. I mean, it was experiencing a total demand explosion.
The ES8 became the absolute superstar. Sales reps literally describe its growth as parabolic. The huge majority of those nearly 32,000 NIO brand deliveries, they were for this one car. But the way customers are choosing it is just fascinating.
So sales reps are reporting this really specific pattern. A customer walks in and they're interested in a different NEL model. They take it for a test drive, but then they also try out the ES8, and they are so blown away by the tech and the value that they switch their order right there on the spot. The other cars are basically acting as a sales funnel for the ES8. It's wild.
And the result of this unbelievable demand? If you ordered a new ES8 today, you wouldn't get it until the middle of 2026. That is a huge wait time.
Which, leads to the obvious question. Surely, with a wait that long, people have to be getting impatient and canceling their orders, right? Well, the answer from the sales floor is pretty surprising.
This is a direct quote from a sales rep. Nobody dares to cancel their ES8 orders. The demand is so intense and the wait list is so long that customers are holding on to their spot for dear life. If you cancel, you go to the very back of a very long line.
So, with one brand getting hit by subsidies and another causing these huge backlogs, what does the future actually hold? Well, according to the sales reps on the ground, the outlook for 2026 is, believe it or not, surprisingly optimistic.
And the single biggest reason for all that optimism, you guessed it, those government subsidies are back.
The major headwind that just slammed the family-oriented market has been removed.
And this is expected to fire up the entire EV market, not just NIO. Sales reps are expecting a really strong turnaround for Envor, now that the price barrier is gone. And on top of that, they're reporting strong test drive interest across all their models, which, as we now know, often leads people right back to the superstar, the ES8.
So this leaves us with a really fascinating question. I mean, having one product that's such a runaway success is a great problem to have, for sure. But is the ES8 a stroke of genius that's going to lift the entire brand? Or is it a risk that could overshadow and maybe even cannibalize the rest of the lineup? That's the real story to watch in the year ahead.